Universal Music threatens to pull songs from TikTok. Xbox thinks Apple's EU App Store plan is a step in the wrong direction. And scientists discover something weird in the human gut. It's Wednesday, January 31st, and this is Engadget News. Universal Music Group is threatening to pull all of its music from TikTok today following a breakdown in negotiations over royalties, the company wrote in an open letter. That would mean TikTok creators would lose access to songs from stars including Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish, The Weeknd, Drake, and others. With UMG's deal with TikTok set to expire, the sides have reportedly been in negotiations for the past year. Such deals are worth billions annually to music publishing firms and are typically negotiated every few years. Universal is the world's largest record label, and if it pulls its music from TikTok, it would be the first time this has happened in recent memory. Universal said TikTok wanted to pay a fraction of the rate paid by other social media sites. In its own post, TikTok said that it serves as a valuable marketing tool for artists and publishers. TikTok also benefits greatly from access to Universal's catalog, and being cut off from access to ultra-popular artists like Swift would be a blow to creators and users. TikTok's Chinese parent ByteDance has more than 3 billion monthly active users and made $29 billion in revenue in a single quarter ending June 2023, according to the Financial Times. Warner Brothers Music, the number 3 record label behind Sony Music and UMG, recently struck a deal with TikTok. Universal said it does not underestimate what this will mean for artists and their fans, but that it will not shirk its responsibilities. The company added that payments from TikTok amount to only about 1% of our total revenue. Apple recently announced the changes it's making to the App Store in order to comply with the European Union's Digital Markets Act that goes into full effect on March 7th. The company's critics quickly denounced its plans and requirements for alternative app stores, with Spotify calling the changes a total farce. Microsoft's Xbox is one of the latest companies to call out Apple's compliance plans. In response to a post on X by Spotify CEO Daniel Ek talking about the changes at Apple, Xbox President Sarah Bond said the company's new policy is a step in the wrong direction, and that she hopes it listens to feedback to create a more inclusive future for all. Under DMA rules, platform owners like Apple and Google have to open up their systems to competing app stores. Apple, however, requires these alternative app stores to have stringent rules and moderation tools comparable to its own. Their operators will also need to be able to prove that they have access to a minimum amount of around $1.1 million in credit that they can use to pay developers. Apple has a new rule for developers as well, requiring them to pay a core technology fee of around 54 cents per install after an app reaches a 1 million download threshold for the year. That rule applies whether the app is distributed through Apple's App Store or through an alternative marketplace. Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney said Apple's plan is a devious new instance of malicious compliance. He added that Apple is essentially forcing developers to choose between App Store exclusivity and a new, also illegal anti-competitive scheme rife with new junk fees on downloads, as well as new taxes on payments the company doesn't process itself. The App Store is a massive business for Apple, which takes a 15 to 30% commission from developers' earnings. For the fiscal year of 2022, for instance, Apple said the App Store ecosystem facilitated $1.1 trillion in developer billings and sales. Epic pulled Fortnite from the App Store in 2020 after violating its rules on purpose and offering discounts to players making purchases outside of Apple's ecosystem. The developer recently announced that it's bringing Fortnite back to the iPhone and iPad in Europe this year after the DMA takes effect, and that it's launching its own store for iOS. Spotify, which has also been a vocal critic of Apple, plans to launch its own in-app payment system for iOS users in Europe as well. We may have an adequate understanding of the human body in that, well, we invented aspirin and sequenced the genome, but researchers still find out new things about the humble Homo sapien all of the time. Case in point, scientists just discovered a previously unknown entity hanging out in the human gut and mouth. The researchers are calling these virus-like structures obelisks due to their presumed microscopic shape. These entities replicate like viruses, but are much smaller and simpler. Due to the minuscule size, they fall into the viroid class, which are typically single-stranded RNAs without a protein shell. However, as reported by Live Science, most viroids are infectious agents that cause disease, and it doesn't look like that's the case with these little obelisks. So, why are they inside of us, and what do they do? Well, that's the big question. The discoverers at Stanford University, the University of Toronto, and the Technical University of Valencia have some theories. They may influence gene activity within the human microbiome, though they also hang out in the mouth. To that end, they have been found using a common mouth-based bacterium as a host. It's been suggested that these viroids infect various bacteria in both the mouth and gut, though we don't know why. Some of the obelisks seem to contain instructions for enzymes required for replication, so they look to be more complex than your average viroid, as indicated by science. In any event, there has been a chicken and the egg debate raging for years over whether viruses evolved from viroids or if viroids actually evolved from viruses. So, further study could finally end that argument. The human body may be just about as vast and mysterious as the ocean or even space, but we're slowly, ever so slowly, unraveling its puzzles. Thanks for listening. There's more to these stories and additional articles at Engadget.com. This episode featured journalism by Engadget contributors Steve Dent, Mariella Moon, and Lawrence Bonk. This episode was produced by Spoken Layer. Enjoy your day, and I'll be back tomorrow with more from Engadget.